Assalamu alaikum viewers. Welcome to Khidma Immigration Canada. My name is Abdullah Al Masood. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. Today, I'm standing in front of a Catholic school in Ottawa Catholic School Board. We'll be talking about so-called schooling visa, and we'll explain pretty much everything you need to know before coming to Canada in so-called schooling visa. Keep watching. First of all, we need to know if there is a visa type called schooling visa. Unfortunately, in Canadian immigration, there is no such a visa type which is called schooling visa. So how come we get this kind of visa? This is all about the people who promotes among the parents that there is a type of visa called schooling visa. If you get that visa for your kids, then maybe you'll get this, and this. Unfortunately, this is not the true story. The way people portray a schooling visa, it is actually a study permit or student visa. So we'll be letting you know which is real and which is unreal. Let's find the facts. If you want to study in Canada from junior kindergarten till high school from other part of the world, maybe you say it nursery to grade 12. If you're coming Canada, or anybody in Canada as a minor fall under this category, the school we showed at the beginning, this kind of school provide free education. Not only free education, they also provide free supplies, and there is no tuition, and sometimes they have breakfast program. That means your son, your daughter, your kid can come to the school without having their breakfast. So the government or the school will facilitate their breakfast. So actually, they don't have to pay a penny, a single penny, from nursery or junior kindergarten to high school or grade 12. They will study here for free. Yeah, sometimes you gotta pay, or maybe there is a field trip or there is something else, but you don't have to pay for supplies, for tuition, for your education for this period of time. That is pretty much 12 to 14 years of study. You are doing it for free in Canada. So now the question is, for whom the education is absolutely free? Yeah, that's a very good question. You must have to know before you send your child to Canada. If you have a temporary residence status in Canada, for example, you are an international student, or you are a foreign worker in Canada, or if you have a permanent residency in Canada, or you are a citizen, then the schooling is free for you. You may send your kid to a Catholic school board, or a general school board, or a French school board. It doesn't matter where you are sending your kid. As long as you have a temporary resident status or permanent resident status, or you are a citizen of Canada, your child will get free education. They don't have to pay a single penny for at least 14 years of study. How about those who are planning to come to Canada, to send their kids to Canada to study? Actually, or unfortunately, they will not be treated as a local student. They will be treated as a private or international students. International students will pay every single penny for their, actually everything they gotta pay. They gotta pay for their tuition, they gotta pay for their housing, they gotta pay for school supplies, and they gotta pay for living here in Canada. So they have to pay every single thing as long as they're an international student. So you're sending your kid to study in Canada in grade 2 or grade 6, grade 11. But they cannot stay here in Canada alone. They must have to have a legal guardian, or at least a parent, maybe father or mother. But the question is, what would be the status of their parent, or how long they will be allowed to live in Canada, and which status they will enjoy. Unfortunately, their status would be a visitor, nothing more, nothing less. You can go wherever you want to go. You can do whatever a visitor does here in Canada. But you will not get any permission to study here in Canada, or any permission to work, or any way to be a permanent resident in Canada or a citizen of Canada. So before sending your kid, you must have to know that your child will not be allowed to work, which is unlike an international students in post-secondary education who are allowed to work. And as a parent, you will not be able to work as well. Your status would be simply a visitor. You will not be able to study here in Canada as well. You cannot get a permanent residency pathway in Canada as your child is studying here. Even you will not have any opportunity to become a citizen, but your child will get an international standard education, world-class education in Canada. And for your information, tuition fees of a minor student would be around $15,000 to $20,000 a year. At the same time, for the housing, you're going to pay another $20,000. And for supplies and all other expenses, you can expect another $10,000 to $15,000. So even if you try to squeeze your expenses, it's not going to be less than $50,000 a year. Whenever you are sending your kid to Canada for this kind of so-called schooling visa, you must have to prepare to pay at least $50,000 a year. So how come you hear a lot of noise about schooling visa? That many parents are coming here and they're getting permanent residency, they're getting citizenship, they're getting work permit, so and so forth. Actually, these all are false. As a visitor, you cannot get a health insurance, health coverage. You cannot get a work permit, or you cannot get a PR or citizenship. This is same for every single people in this earth. They can apply for permanent residency through the express entry or through any other program. But through your kids, no, you will not be able to secure a permanent residency. You will not be able to secure a work permit. So why do you hear a lot of noise about schooling, so-called schooling visa? That these people get this, that people get that. Why? Why? The answer is many people, listen carefully, they end up with a refugee claim. Unfortunately, before coming to Canada, they expect that they'll have a work permit, they'll have this, that, health coverage, education, but every single year when they feel that, oh, I'm burning out, I gotta pay $50,000 a year for my kid to study here in Canada. Oh no, I cannot afford. So once they cannot afford a huge bill, about $50,000 a year, they end up claiming refugee in Canada. Because as soon as you claim as a refugee here in Canada, you don't have to pay for education for your kids. In some cases, you get all the benefits even before becoming a refugee. You can get pretty much every single thing, as same as a PR permanent resident gets here in Canada. But that is not the good way. That is not the way which will secure a future for your kid and for yourself as well. Before sending your kid to Canada, you must have to know that what is so-called schooling visa. So if I sum it up, there is no schooling visa in Canada. It is a minor study permit. And for minor study permit, this is estimated that you're going to pay around $50,000 as a tuition, living expenses, and all other costs. So if you can afford to pay that much amount, then definitely you can send your kid. And most importantly, you can come along with your kid as a parent, but you will not get a permission to study or work or any permanent residency. So make your decision wisely and research about this kind of so-called schooling visa before sending your kid to Canada. Finally, I'll tell you guys, this is a good decision to send your kid to Canada to study in a primary or middle school or a secondary level, because they're gonna get a world-class education. But this is an extremely bad idea if you think that through this way you will immigrate to Canada. No, this is not the right case. Definitely, Canada has a world-class education, and whenever your kid will get this education, they'll be able to develop themselves with this high-class education. But it will cost you a lot of money. If you can afford, most welcome. Send your kid to Canada to study. But the objective should be only study, nothing else. You cannot expect something more than that. So welcome to Canada. I wish everybody best of luck. Thank you for watching Khidma Immigration Canada. If you have any particular question about Canadian immigration, you can book a consultancy session with me. Visit www.khidma.ca. Khidma, Khidma.ca. And thank you once again for watching the full episode. I wish you all the best. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.